Hi, my name is Ben Crouch. I'm the proprietor at Land of Plenty, and I have been working in Boston for the last 18 years on fruit trees in various capacities. And so today we're going to talk about pruning technique and demonstrate a little. So pruning is a practice of training a tree into a form that is both healthy for the tree, useful for the person who wants to pick, harvest, and tend it, and it's also a way of guiding a tree into a future form. What we're looking at today is a peach tree, and it is currently dormant. It's near the end of March, so we're almost into the territory where buds are breaking and the trees are sort of coming back to life for the spring. Since this one is still dormant, we can still work on it today. If a tree has broken bud, as we say, and starting to show green, it's usually a good time to stop pruning and maybe wait a few months until the first flush of growth is finished in June. So, first, before you start to select any cuts to be made, it's important to know that there are limits to how much you should prune at any given time. In the winter, the rule is about no more than 30% of the bearing surface of the tree should be pruned off, and the bearing surface starts from where the branches kind of come out from the trunk. So we're not really counting the trunk; we're just counting like all of these branches, sub-branches, and twigs. As a beginning pruner, you probably want to learn to identify the cuts that have the most impact on the tree. Basically, the cuts that you're going to make that are going to remove the most of that bearing surface, and start from there. So we want to emphasize the healthy structure that's going to remain on the tree, and it's important to think about what your future tree is going to look like. So the type of growth that we're going to go for is branches that are radiating off at about a 45-degree angle. Anything that is growing too vertically or interior, anything that is potentially growing too horizontal or is being outcompeted by dominant branches above it. After we've kind of identified the main sub-branches to remove and have removed them, then we can move on to looking at alleviating some density and other types of problematic growth that the tree might have. So I've identified this primary branch as one of the largest cuts to make. We're gonna again remove it because it's more vertical growth, and we're emptying the base out to emphasize the bearing surface on what is to remain in this set of sub-branches. The leader is here, and then the subordinate branch is here, and in between there's something called a branch bark ridge, and this is going to come into play later. The cut that I'm going to make is going to follow kind of parallel to the line of the subordinate branch, and this is doing what is called a heading cut. That follows the line of the subordinate branch and cuts just above where the branch bark ridge is, leaving the entire collar, and that's this kind of raised area where the branch attaches to the trunk. This all needs to remain intact. So I've lined up my blade and I'm ready to make the cut, and I'll give it a go. So the shape of this cut allows the cambium to remain uninterrupted as it flows around the wound and up to the new leader, where all the energy that was previously going into this branch is now going to go into this branch, and at the same time this is going to seal over because that cambium layer is still flowing. So here's another leader that we want to cut back on this branch. I'm going to demonstrate something that is an easy mistake to make and to contrast what we just saw. So we're lined up parallel, and I'm just going to move out just a little bit. Now, if you leave a little bit of a stub, this piece right here is going to die off because the flow is maintained, through to what is now the leader of the branch, and it's going to subside and then senesce here. This can cause rot into the branch. It can cause a weak spot. It can make it easier for insects to infest, for disease to take hold. So, in correcting this cut, I'm just going to prune it back. Tore a little bark there, it's no big deal. It's something that's going to just seal over a little bit more easily. The blade should always run across the tissue that's going to be left on the plant. And the anvil is supposed to grip, in this case, the branch that we're going to cut. So what you have here is an intact branch collar. You've minimized the surface area of the wound, which means that the plant will have an easier time sealing over and there's less chance of infection.